Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my next Panda palette update. I have quite a lot to discuss today. I've had some big changes in my palette, which you will see. And yeah, there's quite a bit, like I said, to talk about. So I'm going to jump straight into the video. But before I do so, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So today I'm actually going to start with my Modern Renaissance palette. This is my palette from last year that I'm still trying to finish. I have two shades left in this palette, and this here is where it was last month. So you can see I have Love Letter and Cypress Umber left. My main goal for this month was to focus on Cypress Umber, and I was hoping to finish it. And this is where I am now. So you might be able to see that I was not quite able to finish the Cypress Umber, but I have really good progress on it. And then you can see Love Letter right there. But I will have the comparison pictures up there so you can see the difference. So let's talk through them. So for Love Letter, I actually only used this one twice in the past month. I really wasn't focusing on it because I'm just focusing on other things, and it's not been a shade really that I've been that in, like, I don't know, I don't feel very inspired by this color right now. So I'm a bit kind of hesitant on how I want to move forward with this color. But yeah, to use it so far this month, so you know, I did use it but not too much. Then the big difference, as you might be able to see, is in Cypress Umber, and this one was the one that I was trying to finish, and I used this one 19 times, and you can see that I have really big pan expansion. I have cleared out this corner down here, and I have a tiny bit up in this corner, and then the top bit is still there. But this one will for sure be done in the next month. I think maybe I have like 5 to 10 uses left in this eyeshadow. So you know, I could have probably finished this if I used it every single day of the month, but you know, I didn't want to use a dark brown like that every single time, especially because we are in spring and we are doing more spring looks, which I'm doing today. I went very crazy with my look today. I hope it turned out okay on camera. But I felt really inspired. I wanted to do some really bright colors. So yeah, this brown I just haven't been reaching for every single day, but I'm for sure will have that done next month. So that is going to be my goal for this palette, is to have that done, and then kind of just to figure out what to do with Love Letter. Then the big change in my Panda palette comes from my main palette for this year, which is my Naked Tutorials and Beauty Bay palette. So this is what it looked like last month. I'm not going to show you the palette yet, because what I actually decided to do was I Franken this palette, and I did do a video on that, so I think a lot of you have already seen that video. But if you haven't, let me post up now the picture of what it looked like after Frankening, so you can see what it looked like then. So that was a big difference, and I think I used it like a handful of times before Frankening, but not much. So this is mainly kind of difference, or like the progress is mainly comes from after Frankening. So this is what my palette looks like now. So you can see the overview, but you will have again the comparison pictures up here. And I think I'm actually going to have the comparison pictures with my last month compared to now, so you can see the difference, and let me talk you through each shade. So first in the palette we have the shade Redemption, which I did not use at all, which is this orange shadow. I think this is one that I might reach for quite a bit more in the kind of upcoming month, because we're getting into warmer weather. So this is one that is very inspiring to me in summertime, or like spring summer. Then we have Blended Snap, which I've used once, so not too much, but I did use it once. Ivy is one that I have used quite consistently throughout this whole year. I don't have as many uses on it today as I have had in previous months, but I do still have 7 uses on it, which is pretty good. This one is getting quite low actually, and I can see a lot of progress in this in person. Next to that we have the shade Slasher, which I've used once, not too good, but I did use it. Then 5 AM I did not use at all. Moving on to the second row, the shade Roxy Catan I did not use either. If I'm being honest, I'm gonna have quite a low amount of usage on this palette this past month, because I have been not very inspired by it. I will talk about it a bit more, but just warning you, when I keep going through the palette I don't have the best uses. Vla I used twice, which is the bright yellow in the palette. Mikai I did not use at all. Mila, which is like the kind of light orangey brown, I did use once. Underground, which is the shadow next to it, and this last on the second row I did not use either, because it is my least favorite shadow in the palette. So moving on to the third row, we have my first focus shadow for the month, which was Plot Twist. That is this kind of light blue, as you can see, and this one I have used quite a lot. I did use this one 12 times in the past month, and I'm really happy with that. With my focus shadows I'm trying to use them 10 to 15 times, so 12 is really good, especially with like a blue shadow like this. Next to that we have Aura, which I did not use either. And then we have Basic Truths, which I did use 3 times. This is like the light kind of skin tone color, I guess, in the palette, and I have rolled in a different skin tone color in a different project, so I'm not using this one as much, but yeah, I used this one 3 times. Moving on, we have the second focus shadow in this project, which is the shadow All In. So far in the month I have used this one 13 times, so really good again. Yeah, really happy with the progress. I think you hopefully can see a big difference in this pan. With a plot twist, it's not as easy to compare because I did Franken this one and I kind of used quite a lot of it, but All In I did not Franken, so you can see the pure progress from just using it. Then we have the shadow Ooh, which I did use once, and that is the green in the palette. Moving on to the last row, we have Pride. I used this one once. I'm actually used this one today a little bit in my look. Then we have Sommer, which is the kind of corally shadow, the matte on the last row, and that I used twice. Mama Tutorials is the light blue shimmer. I did not use this one at all. I have used it previous months quite a lot as a nail polish, but I've been playing around with my Cleona nail polishes a lot, which is also what I'm wearing today. So I just didn't use this one as a nail polish, but I'm hoping to do so again next month. The shade Amsterdam I did use once, and then lastly Mr. Tutorials I did not use at all. So that is my kind of palette and the usage I have on it. It's looking quite used now, mainly because I Frankened it. And I'm hopeful now, more hopeful that I can finish some of the shadows up because I have them Frankened, but that also means that I have to finish up the Franken shadows. So let's discuss the eyeshadow that I Frankened and where I am with them today. So with the Franken eyeshadows, this right here is where I was with them when I first had Frankened them. So it's only been, I think, 3 weeks max, 2 weeks, 3 weeks since I Frankened them, so not too long, but this is where I am with them today. So again, comparison picture up here. So the first eyeshadow in the palette is this one right here, which I Frankened, Mila and Plot Twist, so that orangey kind of light brown with the light blue. This one I have used 3 times. It's like a nice kind of neutral shade. Next to that we have the shade Mila with Basic Truth, so same kind of orangey brown but with that skin tone color, and that created more of an orangey transition. And I did use this one 3 times, and I actually hit pan on the 3rd use. You can see this one is quite thin, so it was really easy to hit pan on it, and I'm happy that it's moving already. I can see that it's very thin in the pan, so I'm sure that I will finish this one up relatively fast. Then next to that we have the shade 5 AM and Plot Twist, so the kind of deeper brown in the palette, and the light blue. With this one I have used it 9 times, and I actually pan on it today. You can see there, the pan that it's in is actually like a black pan. It's not, yeah, you can see there, it's like a, yeah, titanium kind of black shadow pan, or not shadow, but like the pan is not silver. So it's not that easy to see in the pan, but I'm sure you can pick it up there when the light hits it. So this one I used 9 times, and I actually have used this quite a lot in my brows. I think I used it on my eyes like once or twice, but the other uses have been in my eyebrows. And that's also how I'm wearing it today. I wanted to wear it today to show you how it works, and I did, like I said, hit pan on it on the 9th use. So I'm sure I can continue using this one in my eyebrows as well as on my eyes, and I don't think it's going to be too hard to finish it up. I mean, if you look at all of these eyeshadows from the side, hopefully you can see that none of them are very deep, so I think there shouldn't be too much of an issue finishing up any of these. So moving on to the second row, I actually haven't used any of those kind of yellow greens. I just haven't been feeling them. So this one here, which is the yellow, and that is the shadow Mila and Vela, so the yellow shadow and the brown. Then we have Mila and Ooh, which is the green and the yellow. I haven't used that one either. And last we have Ooh and Mila, which is the green and the brown. Haven't used any of those. Then lastly we have these 2 here, and the first one I have actually used once, which is the purple shadow, and this is Amsterdam, which is the kind of bluish purple, the deep one, mixed with Blended Snap, which is a bright pink. This one I have actually used once, but yeah, you can't really see any progress. You can kind of see like how the pigment is different there in the center, and that's kind of what happens when you mix shadows manually, because I can't, I mean, if I could probably spend more time making them a bit more finer and more, I guess, just mixed together, but when you swirl your brush around and use it on your eyes, it's going to mix on your eyes anyway, so I don't find it to be any kind of hassle when they're not fully mixed, but that's kind of why it looks like that. And then lastly we have the shadow Blend & Snap and Plot Twist. This one I have not used either. So that is where I'm with the palette. I have used mainly the neutral shadows in here, which is kind of what I expected anyway, but I'm sure when kind of now when we're in spring, because it's finally getting warm here. I think yesterday was the first day it actually felt like proper spring, and today it actually felt like summer. So it feels like we skipped all of spring and gone straight into summer. But now when it is a bit warmer, I'm sure that I want to use colorful shadows a bit more. So that is where I am with my Franken eyeshadows. So that is basically my update for my Panda palette. I'm going to continue using these Franken shadows as well as my big Panda palette. If I'm being completely honest, I have been feeling very uninspired by this palette. I just have not been wanting to reach for it very much. This is the first time I'm hitting that wall in a Panda palette. I feel like this might have not been the best choice for a Panda palette. Usually I'm pretty good at choosing palettes. I mean, last year I was panning Mono Renaissance. I'm still panning it now and I'm not too tired of it. I mean, okay, I mean at this point I am. I kind of just want this one to be done. And I'm a bit tired of Love Letter. I'm just a bit worried about finishing this one, but I might just hone in on it and try to finish it up as soon as possible, because I am determined to finish it. I don't want to throw it away, even though I'm not in love with that eyeshadow. But yeah, this one, I mean, I'm a bit over with. But throughout the years, I haven't really been like that regretful with my choices, but with this one I kind of am a little bit, because it's just so many kind of bright colors. I find it really hard to use on an everyday basis. I mean, yeah, I can include some of the eyeshadows in here in different looks, but it's just hard to get a high amount of usage on it, and that's also kind of why I haven't used many of the shades this past month, because I've been very uninspired by it. But with the Franken shadows, I think it's going to help me out a little bit, and hopefully use them a bit more often, and maybe if I run out of them I can Franken this palette again. But for next month, we're gonna have to pick 2 new focus shadows, and the ones that I'm thinking that I'm leaning towards are actually 2 shimmers. So I'm thinking about, let's close this kind of, it's easier holding it that way. But I'm thinking about using this blue right here, which is the shade Mama Tutorials, and then also this palette is so clunky to hold. And then the Shadow Pride, which is this one here. So those 2 I think is gonna be my focus shadows for the next month. So it's 2 shimmers. But it's just because we're going into May, which is like springtime, and I want to wear like those kind of shadows. And I also want to just get some more use out of those shimmers in here, because those are my favorites in this palette. The mattes aren't my favorites. So hopefully I will feel a bit more, I can be inspired using the shimmers. And with these 2 I can also easily use them on my nails as like nail polishes. So hopefully I can get some good use out of it. And you know, with Mama Tutorials, which is the center shadow there on the bottom, I already have some really good progress. So hopefully if that is my focus shadow, I can get, I mean, maybe not finish it, but I can get very close to like maybe even repressing it. So that might be my goal. So yeah, that is my goals for this one. And then like I said, my Franken shadows, I'm not going to have a specific goal. Like maybe I just want to reach for all of them a few times. Do I want to try to put in a goal of using every single one in here 5 times, just to get to know them a bit? Yeah, I'm gonna do that 5 times. I want to use every single one of my Frankens. Hopefully that won't be too hard. And then with my Mono Renaissance, I want to finish Cypress Umber and just start using Love Letter again. So those are my goals, and that is also my update for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. Let me know how you're doing with your Panda palette down below. Again, if you post on YouTube, I have most likely seen your update, because I watch Panda palette pretty religiously on YouTube. But yeah, let me know how you're doing, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.